Hello, welcome to On Record, the only show of the LBL where we give you the latest news, scores, and stats every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Thanks for tuning in today. We got a lot to get to, but first, I'd like to thank the VFW of Ohio Charities for being the official sponsor of the LBL and the LBL Champions Cup. To learn what they do in your community and what you can do to help them, go to vfwohiocharities.org. Coming up, I'm going to do a game-by-game analysis of each game, score. I'm going to give you the point, rebound, and assist leader of the week. I also want to touch on the fall of the Vandals. They were my team going into the season. I thought they'd go to the championship, and JP would win the MVP, so I'd like to touch on that a little bit. And then with every segment, or every week, I'd like to end the show with the segment called The Last Second Shot. And that's where I'll just kind of give a hot take or maybe a bold prediction of the week. So I look forward to getting to that. First, I want to go down and tell you the scores of every game. We got the Wolves and the Mustangs up first. The Wolves ended up winning against the Mustangs 74-72. The Kings defeated the Liberty 82-64. The Vandals got squashed by the Lions, 50-96, and the Pistons pulled out a pretty big game against the 419ers, 82-74. On to the leaders of the week. We had the point leader, who was Tyler Layton. He had 29 points. He shot 10-23 and 7-13 from downtown. The rebound leader, Josh Grissom. He had 15 boards. 7 of them were offensive. The assist leader, TJ Pennell, I believe he was the assist leader last week as well, with 9 assists this week. The player of the week goes to Preston Mormon. He had 27 points, 12 rebounds, and led his Pistons, who were without their leader, and Pat Hackney, to a win against the 419ers. Notable mention there for player of the week. I'd like to also talk about Josh Grissom. He, for the same team, Pistons as well, he had 16 points and 15 boards. I think he's maybe one of the most underrated players in the LBL. Good job, Josh. You've been producing all season, and I'm looking forward to the rest of it. So I'm going to touch on the Wolves first. The Wolves and the Mustangs. First off, my prayers go out to Charles Henry, who suffered a torn Achilles and will be out for the rest of the season. Good luck, Charles. I hope you get better, man. But the Wolves pick up a huge win against the Mustangs. The Mustangs were without their GM, A.J. Cecil, and without Charles Henry. And Tyler Layton had a big game with 29 points, as I recently mentioned. But they ended up falling short to Michael Bennett, who had 27 points, 7 rebounds, and shot 55% from the field. For the year, he's averaging 19 points and 10 boards, averaging that double-double. That's huge, especially for, I believe he was the 3rd pick. And really, you go down all the way down to the Wolves team, and they have playmakers all over the board. They traded for Logan Wiss from the Kings, who has been incredible since he got there. He's averaging 12 points a game and 6 assists. Fits seamlessly into the Wolves. And Terrell Clark, he had 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists. He shot 8 of 14 from the field, and for the year, he's averaging 17 points a game. So they have quite the amount of firepower for the Wolves, and I think they have a bright future. And I think if they put it all together, they can do something good in the playoffs. So. The next game, we got the Kings and the Liberty. I think the Liberty are pretty much lost. They don't have an identity, especially after trading King, who I don't think they should have traded. They got the #1 overall pick in Ben Cameron in return, and he really hasn't been performing as well as I think the Liberty GM, Jalen, would have hoped. He actually only had 6 points and 7 rebounds last game in that fall against the Liberty. And the Liberty came out firing in the first half. They were up, I think, by almost 20. And then TJ Pennell was running late to the game, got there, and definitely TJ Pennell is one of the most defensively dominant players in the league. I think, and not only that, but he's in the running for the MVP. There's a couple guys that you can throw in the MVP talk, but TJ Pennell every week is putting up great numbers. He's actually averaging 19 points a game, 7 rebounds a game, and 6 assists. So MVP numbers without a doubt. Without TJ, I don't think the Kings would be as viable as they are right now. And I do expect the Kings to, again, go far in the playoffs. Jalen Myers for the Liberty, he had 18 points, 10 boards, 4 assists. Shot 6 of 20, 30% from the field. I expect his consistency to better, definitely, and I expect them to improve. But I definitely think they took a step back when it came to that trade. So hopefully they can pull it together, but we'll see. Next, we had the Vandals and the Lions. I had mentioned before the Vandals were my preseason pick to win it all. They dropped the game by 46 points to the Lions. Now, I don't know if the Vandals can recover from this one. JP's only played in one game the entire season, and they have say he plays the rest of the season, they're going to have to build some chemistry with him. They're going to have to figure out who they are with him. And with only 3 games left in the regular season, I don't know how viable that is. So I think I've officially given up on the Vandals. I think they are no longer my team that's going to win it all. But I will say I don't have a team now. There's this season, each team is actually really solid and pretty deep. So I do think the Lions have a legit chance to win it all. Right now, if they were to go in the playoffs, they'd be facing the Liberty, the number 6 seed. Yeah, the Lions are number 3, the 3 seed right now, and I think the Lions could beat the Liberty. I think they can move on and potentially make a run in the playoffs. So as long as Malik averages his 21 points a game and 14 rebounds a game, I think there's not many people who can stop that. And you got to feed the beast. Keep feeding Malik. I think they do that. I think they understand that. And, they're hard to beat when they do that. So also, we last week we had talked about Mike Flipsy, whether or not he was an elite LBL player. He's averaging 14 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals a game. That's pretty. I think that's pretty legit. That's pretty elite, and especially on a team that's as deep as the Lions, to put up those type of numbers, that's great. I think he's also one in the MVP talk. So, good job, Mike. Keep it up, man. I'd like to move on to the next game. The Pistons and the 419ers. I think this might have been the best game of the week. Came down to the wire. Adam Bevier had a hell of a game. Put up 16 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and shot 80% from within the arc. So he's very efficient, and that's one of my biggest things when it comes to players and how I kind of rank them is efficiency. You can put up 30 points, but if you're shooting 30%, I wouldn't want you. So I think Adam Bevier definitely embodies efficiency, and I love seeing that from him. I do think the 419ers should be better since acquiring, King and acquiring Matt Boggs. I think they acquired some shooters. They acquired some offense, which they really needed. But they haven't really shown out. They lost 2 in a row now, last week against the Liberty, this week against the Pistons in a devastating loss. But is what it is. I think the 419ers are kind of at the bottom of the pack still. So the Pistons. Now, I love the Pistons. I actually think they're great. They can do really good things in the playoffs, and one of the reasons is Josh Grissom. Josh Grissom, like I said, is one of the most efficient players in the league right now. He's actually on his team has the highest field goal percentage at 47%. He's averaging 13 points a game and 10 rebounds a game. So, when you want to make a bucket for the Pistons, there's no other person you'd rather want down low with the ball in their hands than Josh Grissom. So he's a beast down there, pulls down some O boards. But I think if the Pistons, who are wildly inconsistent, if they can figure it out, they could definitely be pull it off and go far in the playoffs. So liking what I'm seeing from the Pistons. Now, at the end of each episode, I like to end it with my last second shot. My last second shot this week is going to be that the Liberty will not make it out of the first round of the playoffs. And if the current standings hold true, they'd be playing the Lions in the first round, and they just had they had an explosion on offense against the Vandals, and I think their offense is consistent. They know who they are. They know what they want to do, and there's very few teams in the league who can actually play with their strength and their size. So if they ended up playing the Liberty, I think the Liberty are out. Really, I think if the Liberty are anywhere either 8 seeds, 7 seeds, or 6 seed, they're going to be either playing the Mustangs, they're either going to be playing the Kings, or they're going to be playing the Lions. So either one of those teams, I don't see the Liberty beating. Unless Jalen can really take over that team and just will them to win. I don't see the pieces around him making it happen. So ultimately, Liberty fall, and that's my hot take. But I think that wraps up this episode, the first official episode of On Record. Go on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook @_LBL. Give us a follow. We put up informational tweets all the time about what's going on in our league, and we update games on Sundays as well. And go ahead and visit our website, lbllegends.com. We have all of our YouTube games up there. We are going to put this podcast on there. You can see stats going all the way back to season 1. Points per game, assists per game. It's all there. It's a beautiful website. Just brand new this season. Huge shout out to Kevin Vollmer and Cody Wright. You guys did a great job on that. But I think that's it. So thank you guys. See you next week. And Chad Kleman out.